We're excited to have you, the grade 5 parents, here join us today so we can share with you about something exciting coming up, which is our PYP Exhibition. So I will hand it over to Miss Caroline.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming today. It says it'll be 45 minutes, but of course that's dependent on how many questions you have at the end as well. We want to make sure that you feel really comfortable and confident going into it because we want your children to feel that way as well. So basically today's plan, explaining what the exhibition is, what the features are at our school context, because every school does it a little bit differently, and then what your role can be in supporting your children in the exhibition process, okay? So it is a culminating collaborative experience in the final year of the PYP. Now, some of your children might have only been in the PYP for 2 years, and that's okay. It's using all the skills they've learned to this point. So don't worry if they haven't had 5 full years or 6 full years in the PYP. We know that, we know the context we're working with, and the expectations will be supportive in those ways. They're going to explore, document, and share their understanding on an issue or an opportunity. And it's student initiated, designed, and they collaborate with each other as well as other members of the community. So this is a unit they build and they decide what they're going to inquire into. They've been inquiring into all kinds of units to this point, but those have been teacher and standards driven, or this is their own opportunity to use that agency to really apply their skills in an authentic way. This is a beautiful infographic from the IB themselves, just showing that all of these prior experiences and learning go into their exhibition experience. And we will share out all these slides at the end as well. Yes.
So when you see some of these pieces, it's not that one happens and then the next happens and then the next happens. Any given day in the 7 weeks of the exhibition, you might find that the children have opportunities to collaborate. They're always doing reflection. They're utilizing their approaches to learning. And this would be something that happens during any of their PYP units. But the key here is that it's this kind of culminating experience at the end of grade 5. Where the students to kind of show their big understanding of their knowledge and skills. At the end of the PYP, they engage in this exhibition unit together.
There are similar experiences in each part of the program. So the MYP has their personal project, and the difference there is it's a bit more in-depth and it's individual to the student. Whereas in exhibition, we're hoping it's more of a collaborative experience and within groupings. And the DP has its extended essay as well. This is a beautiful quote from the IB as well about what we're hoping from the exhibition. It's a powerful demonstration of student agency and the agency of the community that has nurtured them through their time in PYP. The learning community participates in the exhibition, supporting and celebrating the development of internationally minded students who make a positive difference in their lives and the lives of others. So that's that action component that we want them to learn about an issue, but also know that they can themselves take action or help others to take action and inspire them. So it's all about thinking locally and globally as well. And on that point, often we frame it. They might be interested in something that's very personal to them, that's maybe more of a local issue, and we use the SDGs or the Sustainable Development Goals to help them see how that might be an issue connected to a global issue. Some of them are already kind of making those connections as they think about what they're interested in, what issues they're interested in. There might be reference to this with other units they've already explored within the PYP.
I might just give a couple examples of what this might look like. So for example, I've worked with students in the past who are very passionate about sports, for example. And when we stopped to think, okay, so what about that sport might be considered an issue that we could really research and dig into? And that might fall under gender equality, for example, in terms of access to sport, or under good health and well-being, because we might actually be looking at how sports help us with our learning, or how we can approach recovery from injuries. So when a student is very passionate about something, we as teachers help to guide them toward how that might be seen as a bigger issue. Last year, we had lots of students who were very passionate about the environment, thinking about things like air pollution and what it's doing to, for example, oceans or the people who are living in that. And you can see lots of connections there, whether it's life on land, climate action. So this also helps give us a lens to help the students go really deep into that issue.
So following from our school ethos, we want to inspire our students to take ownership. This is a really big step for them to manage themselves and make their decisions about how they're going to research, how they're going to learn, and how they're going to share that with the community. We want them to collaborate with people within our school community, but also with the greater community. We also want them to help others take action once they've learned about their issue and are inspired to do something about it. How can they help other people improve that issue? So at our school, the context is that it's one of the 6 units of inquiry, and this year we've moved it from the last unit to the 5th unit. So it is happening earlier in the year than last year. And we're pulling from all 6 transdisciplinary themes, but what we're putting it in this year as a unit is how we express ourselves. It's student initiated and designed, and again, it is a collaborative experience. To put it in context of the types of project-based shares that maybe they had when I was in school, and maybe that you're more familiar with, the exhibition is a celebration, a culmination, not just a one-off, student-driven, includes many different subject areas, collaborative, and it's an opportunity to take action. And what it isn't is a show or a competition or only occurring on that one share day. And it's not just grade 5s, it's bringing all the learning from grade 4 with it. And it's not teacher or parent driven. So the teachers in the homeroom are not deciding what topics people are interested in. The students are making that choice for themselves with their guidance to help them make it broader and deeper. So students are going to engage in lots of different opportunities. They are going to have opportunities to perhaps interview people or experts in the area that they are interested in. They're going to do a lot of research. They're going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to reframe their questions with more research, and they're going to share and communicate what they've learned in different ways. It's going to look different for every group. Every cohort is a bit different in terms of what their interests are. And even though they might have seen the exhibition last year, it may not look the same, and that's perfectly fine. We're expecting that.
Yeah, I might add to that. How many exhibitions would you say you've seen, Miss Caroline?
Personally, 15.
Okay. And I
Maybe.
think this will be 18 for me. So we've probably seen them happen in many, many different ways. And always a success and a celebration. Kind of no matter where we end up, the kids have this beautiful moment where they are sharing that learning with you at the end, but it's really about that full process and journey that they've gone through. And we have to wait and see what it looks like for them.
Okay, so more about kind of the logistics of it. Students work to identify issues, strengths that they have, and interests, and those will guide the connections they make for the local and global issues that they want to explore, and then that guides their final action. They're going to be grouped according to those similar interests, of course, with the guidance of their teachers. So maybe broadly they're connected under a similar lens. Maybe someone's taking more of a financial look at something, but it could connect with another group. So it doesn't mean that they have the exact same questions. It means that they have connections and can work together to strengthen each other's inquiry. And really the emphasis for us is on the process over the product. There is a product, but the learning is going to happen through that process. So they're still going to have their writing, their reading, their math in these 7 weeks. It's not that their other subjects are put aside. It's that they're integrated whenever possible. They're still going to go to PE. They're still going to have music. Their regular schedule continues, but they will have an opportunity to express themselves with additional art or music from week 4 to 7 of the exhibition. So because it is under the theme of how we express ourselves, they're given that choice. It depends what suits their inquiry and what suits their personal interests. So they will have that opportunity coming up. There are many supporting roles in the exhibition because it is a community that is supporting them. There will be mentors for every group. So a PYP teacher will dedicate time each week for a particular group, and they will be the mentor of that group. So they are going to see them throughout the 7 weeks. They're going to start on March 2nd, I think, or March 3rd. It's a Tuesday. Yeah. There are also going to be teachers and teacher managers. So it might be their homeroom teacher, or depending on the flexibility of the groupings, it might be the other grade 5 teacher working together, because there might be students from each class in that one group. They're going to support the inquiry every day and frame their reflections as they go forward. So they're supporting that on a day-to-day basis, whereas the mentor is coming in minimally once a week at a designated time, and they're going to work through reflections or guided questions that the homeroom teacher has identified as being the focus of that week. Parents, of course, always a huge role in your students' lives. You can ask them questions. You can encourage balance. Sometimes they go all in and they want to work on the weekend and they want to work at night. And, you need to let them know that, it is a 7-week experience. They don't need to be finished week 2. We don't want them to be, okay? Let them take the reins. Let them take the responsibility. It's a really valuable experience for them. Even if something seems tricky, at the end, they're going to be so proud of themselves, and they might reflect, time management. That might be their learning. Social skills, that might be their learning. For everyone, it's going to be a different piece. And then, of course, helping them find connections in the community or globally. If you know of a great website, you might share that with them. That might be a great resource for them. But it's not your research. Don't worry about that. And then, of course, our share event is going to happen on April 29th. The schedule of how that day will look, we'll share out a little closer to the date. But yeah. And then these are just a variety of questions you might choose. The teachers are going to be kind of using these to pinpoint certain skills, knowledge, and concepts throughout. And this will be shared with you. But these are the kinds of questions that might help you understand more about what your child is learning. So if they say, I'm really interested in gender inequality, you might say, okay, does your issue have a local connection? Can you think of a way that's affecting people locally? You might say, what did you learn about your issue today? What great sources have you found today? Who did you collaborate with at school today? Okay, these are great ways to really check in on how they're doing. And I have more about learner profile or action, but these are just an idea, just ways that you might connect with them during this unit and help them think more deeply about what they're learning. And the teachers will be using some of these as well. So to reiterate, it is the students' exhibition, not ours, not mine, not yours. The majority will be completed at school. So don't worry that your child is doing this as a homework project. It's not a homework project. There might be elements of research that they might want to do at home, but they have the 7 weeks. It is the unit they're exploring at school during those 7 weeks. Again, the focus is on their process. All the exhibitions will look different. The teachers will be giving you those regular weekly updates. They might frame some of the questions that I showed earlier that you might want to hit on that week that might be the most relevant. And we might call for experts. That might be a one-off, that if you are an expert in a certain area that a group has identified as a level of interest, we might ask a volunteer to come in and speak with that group for a one-off occasion. Or if you have a connection in the community that you think would be really relevant and you connected us with them, that would be fantastic as well. This is our save the date and an opportunity for any questions you have at this point about our PYP exhibition this year.
Yes.
How you finally to assess the outstanding, satisfactory, below the level? How you assess this exhibition for students?
That's a great question. So in our regular units of inquiry, we would have identified science and social studies standards that would drive that. And then on that report card, you would see, oh, in life science, they are proficient, and you would see that. For the exhibition, we don't give a performance indicator. The assessment through the exhibition is really just part of that ongoing process. It's mostly self-assessment or assessment in collaboration with the teacher. So we would be really looking at those skills, research skills. So they might come home and say, oh, you might see a video of your child saying, okay, this week I'm reflecting on my research skills. Did I validate my sources? Did I check to make sure that the information came from at least 2 sources? Have I paraphrased from the source so that I'm being academically honest? So it's really rooted in those skills. And it relies heavily on research skills, social skills through the collaboration. Obviously, the thinking skills, we could go through all of them. But the teachers will guide them through those specific reflections. And that's really on them. If they're able to say, next time I would do this, or here's how I could improve, or here's what was a big strength of mine, that's how we see that they are being successful in their reflection and self-assessment.
So mostly the exhibition is prepared then in a school.
Yes.
But you said
Yeah.
in class, everything is built in that this.
Yeah. Yes.
How the okay?
Sorry, can you repeat the how is the time? Yeah. So
For the group of students.
yes, good question. So across the school day, they would still have PE. PE doesn't often integrate with the exhibition, but that's great because we also need to go swimming and go play some games and have a break and have that balance. Math is often standalone because we're still responsible for those grade 5 standards. But when we're reading articles and resources about the topics that we're researching. So the research and the reading comes together. When we're writing, we're paraphrasing. We might be writing an email to an expert to ask for an interview. We might be writing a proposal for the art project that we want to accomplish. We might be writing a thank you note to a mentor. So there's actually some really specific skills there. Like writing an email, there's a structure, right? There's a tone, there's professionalism. So we can teach into those literacy skills within the context of that exhibition as well. Yeah. Other questions? Yes.
Any example of the exhibition to show some of the parents or students because they are like new joiner, but no idea what it's about and
Yep.
what sort of expectation
Sure.
they have, and also the student who recently joined the school.
Yes.
Everyone-
What does it look like?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I can share, when I share the slides for this, I can share the video we shared with parents when we launched last year, which was the students talking about it. And I think we probably also have a video of it happening. What you will see on April 29th is you'll probably come to the Chanchai Theater and the children will welcome you and explain a little bit about their process, and they may do a performance as well. Then we'll all go, actually probably out into this zone here, into these rooms, and you might find different groups have different setups. So maybe a group has a table, maybe it has some artifacts, maybe it'll have their journal to show all their research and all their thinking. And what you won't see is a child standing there going, okay, go, and then giving you a perfect presentation. What you would see is saying, oh, can you tell me about this? And the child would say, oh, well, here's how I decided what I might do. And then I did this research and it made me think more about this. So then I interviewed this person and then I gathered some data, and they're going to talk to you through the process. And it would be our biggest hope that that conversation is more organic with questions and them saying, you know, this was really challenging and I needed some support here and I needed to reflect and think about what I needed to do next. And just having that conversation. That might happen in multiple languages. Okay, if a child sees me coming, they're going to say, oh, Miss Andrea, let me tell you about this. If they see their parent and it's a different language, We completely support that. In fact, it shows how amazingly flexible they can be with their language. And it's very impressive when kids can say, oh, I'm going to do this in Mandarin and then I'm going to share it in English as well. So we support that. But you'll see kind of a dynamic space, and I'll send some videos of kids sharing their learning with different people from the community. So as a parent, you might come and see your own child, and then you might stop by a few of the other children as well, because all of those presentation skills and their communication skills are also a really key part of it. Did I miss anything?
Oh, I'm just, we recently, as the grade 5s, I went with them and their homeroom teachers to view the personal projects that grade 10s shared. And they really enjoyed that those students could also share with them in Mandarin, in Thai, and in English. And I think it helped them kind of visualize maybe an expectation they might have about which were the most engaging conversations they had, who was really confident at sharing the process. And it's similar in that way to exhibition. So, any other questions? And there will be questions as it unfolds, I'm sure. And your homeroom teacher would be your first point of contact because they are with them day in and day out. But if you have more questions about the process generally, I'm also available.
And maybe I'll just share one final thing is kind of your children are probably starting to talk about this. It's been mentioned throughout the year. Last year, they went to go visit the Bangkok campus. So it's been something on their minds. Now it's getting close. So there's more conversations. They might come home and say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do for my exhibition. And that's totally fine. Part of that process is actually taking time in class to think like, well, what am I passionate about? What am I wondering about? What issues feel important to me? Before we get to that point where we say, yes, this is the thing that I would like to dig into. And we actually will often sit with the kids and kind of coach them and say a child said to me, oh, I'm really interested in learning about, I don't know, healthy eating habits and cooking and what does that look like and food waste and all these things. And we would actually sit down kind of as a coach and say, well, why does that feel important to you? And is this something you feel like you could learn about for 7 weeks, right? Is this something where your research will keep you going and you think there's something that you might take action on? So it's totally fine if they don't know what that is yet because we haven't got to that point yet. Yeah. They will have an opportunity to hear from grade 6 students and their experience doing it last year as well. And there really is a lot of lead up to that point and we guide them through it. We're not just going to say, go off. There's tons of adult support. So as you start to hear about it, don't feel worried if they're not sure yet, because that's exactly where they should be. Yeah. Okay? Yes?
So we just pretty much sit back and enjoy.
Yes. It will feel hard.
Yeah.
I promise. It will feel hard, right? Because or not, great. But I think those questions that Ms. Caroline will share, because that conversation that you can have is part of their reflection. That is part of the process. And that's the best way to support. And occasionally it might be like, oh, well, have you thought of this? But most often it might be, oh, well, how are you going to approach that tomorrow? Or what support might you look for? Or why do you think that happened? Just those open questions.
So we can ask those open questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
When will the unit start?
They will begin on March 2nd.
Is the hard
Official launch.
day. They've been doing some preemptive conversations to kind of soft launch some ideas, but the actual unit begins March 2nd.
May I ask, like, how did they all like come up with their ideas? Because like my son, he was telling me this morning or like a couple of days before, and I'm just wondering how they got to that.
The ideas.
Idea, yeah.
Often what happens throughout the year in grade 5, when something comes up, either in a unit or a news article or something that happened, like last year we had an earthquake, right? Or right now, what's a big topic? AQI, what's the AQI today? So the teachers will actually say like, oh, that's an interesting issue to consider. And as a grade 5 teacher, I always had a wall of like, you guys were mentioning food waste. Oh, I heard you talking about recycling. like just as teachers, we listen and then they start talking about things and they kind of plant those seeds. So it could be that they've already talked about it and maybe that's something you might explore for your exhibition. And so we just try to help them think about as it comes up. Yeah.
TD stands for, what stands for TD stands for?
Oh, transdisciplinary.
Who from all the 6 TD themes.
Yes.
Yes.
So what do TD stand for?
Transdisciplinary themes. So it's how we express ourselves, who we are, sharing the planet, just the overarching themes that each grade explores in the PYP. Yeah.
So right now, grade 5 is in
Sorry.
Right now, grade 5 is in sharing the planet. They're learning all about ecosystems and biomes and interdependence and producers and decomposers and that. So right now they're in the sharing the planet theme.